Hey everybody, it's Super Saiyan Majin Slayer. You can call me Andres or by my nickname Andy as well. And today I have another Phantom Knight dueling book replay for you guys. We're gonna have Jerome 904 with 1323 rating up against You Broke My Heart with 1280 rating. So fairly high rated. I've been playing quite a bit of games and winning on dueling book this format. Remember to go ahead and check out the July_TCG Discord. Nice place to hang out, do some play testing, remote duels, get feedback on your deck list, etc. And we're going to go ahead and see You Broke My Heart win the RPS. They're going to decide to go first. 60 versus 40. Interesting. Opening hands, we have Pot of Duality, Harpy's Feather Duster, D-Shifter, Pot of Duality, and Robina. So we have Floowandereeze in the red versus Ash Blossom, Infinite Impermanence, Junk Forward, Danger Rabbit, and the Pog Blade. So Jerome opens up 2 going second cards, and then You Broke My Heart opens up 2 going second cards as well. Nice to see, especially in a 60 card deck where you sometimes don't even see that sometimes when you're playing 40. Okay, and he's just gonna go ahead and shotgun the D shifter right away. And then You Broke My Heart is just gonna go ahead, set the Imperm, the Pog Blade, and pass. Top decks into a Lightning Storm, doesn't even bother to shuffle his hand. Little bit of BMing there, but it's all good. And then he's gonna go ahead and use Duality here. It's gonna reveal the Mega Monarch, another D shifter, and the Unexplored Winds. So go ahead and add the Unexplored Winds. Put back the D shifter, Mega Monarch. This isn't Duality, or no, not Duality. This isn't Prosperity, so technically the cards should be shuffled into the deck. Yeah, so technically there's a possibility where he realistically should be top decking into another D shifter, or at least have the increased probability of top decking to that D shifter. But looks like You Broke My Heart does have the Ash Blossom though for the Rabina effect. He's gonna go ahead and poke for some damage. Thankfully, Ash Blossom doesn't have to be sent to the graveyard like Effect Mailer does under D shifter, so that's a nice plus. Top deck into a Forbidden Droplet. Start off by special summoning out Junk Forward. Go ahead and reveal the Jackalope. Okay, and go ahead, and the opponent's going to pick the Droplet out of the hand, and he will draw it into a Dr. Frankenderb. Okay, that's interesting. I'm going to go ahead and read this card. If this card is normal special summon, you can pay 500 life points on top of the card of your deck, place it on the bottom of your deck, or reveal it to your hand. Oh, okay. I've seen actually some talks about this card in the some various Phantom Knight Facebook group as like e-tele target. It makes sense in a 60 card deck. I just feel like it would be kind of bricky if you're playing like a 40 card deck list. But it's a nice spicy tech card. I've seen some people talk about this card also in some Phantom Knight Discord groups as well. And looks like he's going to go ahead and yep, because sometimes you just need that one key card, so that way you can go ahead and get your engine going. And it looks like he top decks into a cloak. It's going to be really nice. And it is a dark, so this works well, so you can get link fodder with Rusty. And it's also a decent e-tele target now that I think about it, because it's also dark attributes. Let's say maybe you dump the graph with sheer beating, try to trigger graph effect, and then they negate it. Well, they can go ahead and e-tele for your Frankenderb. And normally you can't do that because most everybody just runs the wielder and the tracker for e-tele targets. So that's pretty nice. Looks like he's going to go ahead and dump the gloves. That's going to help play around Nibiru. That's the reason why he's doing that. And then I'm also a big advocate on always dumping gloves off of Cherubini, so in that way you're gonna see like you don't have much to work with, so they're gonna think like, okay, I just nib him on the rest of summon, he's not gonna be able to do anything. But remember that gloves is really one of the best Phantom Knight monsters because it acts as a mask for any type of Phantom Knight name just floating in your graveyard. Act as a silent boots in the graveyard, ancient cloak, etc. Or even just a trap, like I said, to play around Nibiru. So he's going to use Rusty Effect here. Rusty Effect can go ahead, dump Ancient Cloak, set a Shade Brigandine. So we go ahead and use Ancient Cloak Effect here. Go ahead, just summon out the Silent Boots straight away. He's going to go ahead and use the Shade Brigandine as well. He's going to go for an Isolde. Okay, that makes sense in the 60 card version of Phantom Knights because you have more room for it. So like, I'm assuming he might be going for the Living Fossil Renault package. Renault, sorry. Yep. It helps decrease the chances of you seeing the Renault and increases the ceiling of the deck by quite a bit. He's going to go ahead and go for a Living Fossil here. Yep, and he's playing around Nibiru the entire time because you notice how he special summoned out the boots specifically there. If you were to nib him on the boot summon, then the boots would just go to graveyard and then you can just tag out the ragged gloves for Torn Skills. So that was good good sequence of summoning from his part. Is he going to go ahead and bring out the Frankendirt? Yeah, that makes sense because Frankendirt doesn't really have any recursion in the graveyard. He's going to go make an Appaloosa, and now he can go ahead and continue to combo with protection from Nibiru. He's going to go ahead and add a Pog Blade, trigger the Torn Scales. Go ahead, use Torn Scales, go ahead and discard the Ancient Cloak, then go ahead and dump the Sword. Sword effect, bring out the Ancient Cloak. Ancient Cloak effect for the attack boost on Rusty. He's going to go for a Leviair here. Just recycle back the gloves for better follow-up. I'm going to go for a Verte Anaconda. Verte Anaconda, go ahead, dump the Fusion Destiny, dump the bricks, and bring out the Phoenix Enforcer. So, you pretty much full comboed him with just opening up generic level 3 monsters to go into Cherubini. So a really nice showcase of what the Phantom Knight deck is able to do when you have not like the typical resources besides the generic level 3s, but you also add other packages like the Isold package, for example, which, if you guys know me, I've come up with some Isold combos as well. That he did a similar combo in which I showcased with the Skarm and adding the Kagamichi Knight for follow-up. But here we are in game 2. Oh yeah, I'll leave a link to that video in the description. You guys haven't seen it already. I'm a little bit older where I played more of a pure version of the deck, but it pretty much can apply to even today's metagame. But opening hands, we have Ravina, D-Shifter, Eaglin, Book of Moon, and Harpy's Featherstorm. So VFD in the form of a trap card. It's pretty strong. And then the Phantom Knight player has Pog Blade, Torn Scales, Double Twin Twisters, and Psychic Trackers. So 2 going second cards, which would take care of the field spell normally in any strong, like maybe Floodgates backed up by it. But unfortunately, they just have the Harpy's Featherstorm, in which you really need Red Reboot in order to stop this, unfortunately. You can go ahead and start off with D-Shifter. Yeah, Harpy's Featherstorm plus D-Shifter is insane. Just Macrocosmos and a VFD during your opponent's turn is pretty insane. He's going to go ahead and start off with Eaglin, England, go into Ravina. The Ravina effect, go ahead, add the Empen to tribute summon all those away. Gonna go for the Empen effect plus the Eaglin effects. Add back the Eaglin. Go ahead and search out the Dreaming Town. He's gonna go ahead and normal summon Wind Barrier Statue. Set the Featherstorm, Book of Moon, Dreaming Town. Top decks into the Fusion Destiny. It's going to use the Twin Twisters in the standby phase. Use another Twin Twisters. Yep, so the reason why he does this in the standby phase is that he wants to play around the Dreaming Town. Think of this card as like Shaddol's Schism, where it can only be activated in main phase. It's like the analogy I like to explain people um, about this card. So you can go ahead and normal summon Psychic Tracker. Psychic Tracker, go ahead, attack. We're just going to beat over the Floowandereeze statue. Go ahead, Fusion Destiny. Go ahead, bring out the Phoenix Enforcer. Fortunately, all the bricks get banished. He's going to go ahead and try to pop the Psychic Tracker and the Impen, but unfortunately it's unnegated by the Featherstorm. Go ahead, the Floowandereeze players can normal summon Eaglin effect, Rabina as well. Gonna add the Rabina back to hand, and then add the Mega Monarch from deck to hand. And then Rabina effects. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the token. And then normal summon out the token. Add back the Dreaming Town to hand. Then he's gonna go ahead and normal summon out the Apex Avion. Playing around the Strike Phoenix Enforcer pop right there. Go ahead. Go to battle phase, Impin, attack into the Psychic Tracker. Destroy Phoenix Enforcer effect, Apex Avion negate. Attack in for some damage. And then he's going to go ahead and set the Dreaming Town. Pass turn. Top decks into a Lightning Storm. Go ahead, destroy Phoenix Enforcer effect right here. Go ahead, pop itself and the Dreaming Town. Go ahead, Lightning Storm. Just basically acts as a Regeki on the Floowandereeze player. Bring back the destroy Phoenix Enforcer standby phase. Got Eaglin effect, Go ahead, chain block with the token and the Rabina. So we go ahead, set the lose one turn. Activate only if you control no such thing. Okay, so kind of like an Impin, but like in a trap form. In case if like your Impin gets negated by something like an Imperm or a Forbidden Chalice. Yeah, this deck never really special summons, so it's actually not a bad card. I don't know much about Floowandereeze personally. I'm not obviously I'm a fan of my player, but that looks pretty strong. Puts your opponent on having like a combination of spell and trap removal as well as face-up negation for your Impin as well. Destroy Phoenix Enforcer going to pop the trap and itself. Guys, I'll be right back. I got a phone call. Alright, sorry about that. I'm back now. I'm going to bring back Enforcer. Standby phase. Top decks into a tour guide. So a really strong top deck and simplified game state. I'm gonna go ahead and bring out the Edge Sabers. Okay, that's interesting. You guys probably know my opinions about this card if you guys have seen my extenders. Talk about generic extenders. I really don't like this card that much just because you go -1 hand advantage. But I guess it can work out if he's playing quite a few bricks in his deck. We go for a Levier here to bring back the Torn Seals, get it back into rotation. It's like battle phase, going to go ahead, use DP effect, playing around effect Veiler. DP graveyard effect. Levier, poke for some damage, go into Zeus play, and pass. So 2 interruptions once the Destroy Phoenix Enforcer comes back from the graveyard. Go ahead and go for a Rabina, effective Rabina. Add the streaks. Go to normal summon out the streak, or I said streaks, but streak. It's like Shri. It's going to go ahead and target the Dreaming Town. It looks like he wants to go and chain the Enforcer effects. So to go ahead and pop the Strix. Sorry. I think the effect still goes through though, and then he's gonna go ahead and proceed to normal summon out the token and Stri effect, as well as Eaglin effect. Looks like he wants to do swipe the board now. That makes sense because the reason why he board wiped there is so that that way he can't immediately tribute summon for the Apex Avion or for the Rise of Mega Monarch. And so he's just gonna go ahead and normal summon out the Eaglin, set the Dreaming Town, and pass. For turning top decks into a Rhoda. Wow, he's been really ripping these top decks lately. These last two turns. PPE, Pop Effect, Pop itself, and then Dreaming Town. I like to imagine because this can only be activated during the main phase. Yep. Go ahead and use Rhoda here. Go ahead and add Ancient Cloak. Ancient Cloak. Turn that into an El Mirage. Ancient Cloak effect. Go ahead. Just want to see it that into the graveyard. Ancient Cloak. Go ahead, search out Boots. Torn Scales, bring itself back. So we'll summon out the Boots. I'm not really a fan of El Mirage personally, just because, yeah, it's a one card like that unbricks your hand, but you were more than likely gonna lose that game to one hand trap anyway, which this card does. This combo does lose to. Could lose to an Imperm, Droll, Valor, like literally just any interruption it loses to. You can go ahead and turn the Torn Scales and the Boots into the Isold. Isold effect. To add, it's gonna go ahead and add the Ragged Gloves here. And you can go ahead and use the Isold effect to dump the Living Fossil, bring out the Renaud. That Renaud effect, add back the Living Fossil. Gonna link off the Amirage, the Renaud, as well as the Isold. Go into the Appaloosa for 3. Living Fossil effect, go ahead and sort of summon out the Tour Guide. Yeah, so even if he did get nib before that, he still had plenty of extenders with the Living Fossil as well as the Edge Sabers. I think he still keeps in the Shade Brigandine, he might still have that in rotation. Maybe I'll go for a Brick Sword. And yep, he's just going to go ahead and admit defeat, realizing that he can't play past the Appaloosa. I don't know, I think maybe it would be worth trying to play out, just because that one thing that Floowandereeze likes to do is like chain block quite a bit. As you can see, he was able to chain block his normal summon effect, so he can keep on normal summoning, but I mean, Appaloosa is quite a bit annoying to deal with, so that's a plus on that side. Plus, he had good follow up with the Fog Blade, because then he can just search it out with the Boots, and then he has the Celestial. Well, he doesn't have Celestial follow up anymore, but that was a really back and forth game too. We can see that the duel was 38 minutes long, so not too long, not too short, just about the average tournament match, I'd say. But with that being said, remember to check out the July_TCG Discord, and yeah, be sure to like and subscribe if you guys enjoy the content. Try to send me replays as well if you guys feel like it. I'll put an email in the description. Mainly just Family Nights focus, but remember, it doesn't have to be necessarily high rated, but I like to see good back and forth action, and also as well as Family Nights maybe dueling against unique decks as well. But yeah, I'll go ahead and check you guys out later. Peace.